Hey everyone, today I am recording this video to talk about Mojo Ball, the new scenario pack for Marvel Crisis Protocol, and let's go through the rules together, and then I'm going to talk about the event that I am running, and yeah, there we go, so let's go through this. This is the promotional information from AMG's website, so let me just give this a quick read here. Players enter the Mojoverse and pit their squads against one another in Marvel Crisis Protocol's version of fantasy football in this new pack. Featuring unique scenario rules for one-of-a-kind combat, this scenario puts players in a tactical struggle to maneuver their characters. This scenario puts players in a tactical struggle to maneuver their characters into position and score touchdowns for victory points. Each pack contains materials for 2 players to play the Mojo Ball scenario. Okay, pretty cool. It also has the information that is included in the packaging here. 120 tactic cards. I think there's multiple language. If I had to guess, it looks like it. Anyway, let's go through the rules for this. I've got them all here on my screen. I can go through each card one by one, but I'm going to read them out loud so that we all get a clear picture on what's going on here. So this is the setup of Mojo Ball. All terrain is size 3 or less. The threat value, squads use maximum threat 18 for this mission. Team tactic cards are not used in this mission. Do not include team tactic cards in rosters or squads. So based on reading that, it seems like a typical format of this game would include roster and squad building like you would for a normal game of Marvel Crisis Protocol. So let's keep going. Affiliations. Do not choose affiliations or leadership abilities as normal. So all leaderships are gone. Instead, squads are deployed. Choose one of 3 team captain abilities. It is now your active leadership. So leaderships, looks like we only have 3 leaderships for this game. So you get to choose which ones you use. But very interesting for how the current leaders in the game will operate because they don't have the leadership attached to them. Deployment. Characters deploy range 5 from their deployment edge. Roll dice to determine priority as normal. This is a pretty interesting change compared to a normal game of Marvel because you've got these assets on the middle edge of the middle line of the board, and now a standard character, maybe like a small base medium mover, will be able to reach the midline in a single move action. Very interesting. All right, so let's keep going on this one. Tokens, ball, they're assets. There's 3 of them. They are used for scoring touchdowns. All characters can use the following interact ability. Interact. Pick up the ball. During its activation, a character holding 1 or more balls may spend 2 power to use the following ability. It's a pass attempt. The character makes a pass attempt using one of the balls it is holding. So we can see the next card for pass attempt rules. There's a zone, these are the goals. Target of opportunities. There's 2 of them, 1 on each side. These zones allow a player to score touchdowns, but Mojo's arena is not as static as a standard playing field, and some unusual rules control the robotic zones. So during an activation of a character, they can hold 1 or more balls. During its activation, a character holding 1 or more balls may spend 2 power to use the following ability. Interact. You roll, so you're interacting. Let's see here. Roll 1 die. What are you interacting with? You're interacting with the zone, which is the goal. So you're within interaction range of the goal while holding a ball or more. You roll 1 die per enemy character within 3 of the zone. So these are like defensive characters closer to their own end zone, right? They're defending their goal. If there are no skulls in the result, the character immediately scores a touchdown. If the result contains 1 or more skulls, each enemy character within 3 of the zone may make an attack of 0 power cost targeting that character. If the interacting character is not sent to jail, then it scores a touchdown. So basically, if you've got 2 people that are defending your zone, every time they try to score a goal, they have to roll 2 dice and if they roll a skull, free attacks hit them. All right. And then of course, so how many characters do you want to have defending your goal? Do you want 2 characters, 3 characters, 4, 1? How risky are you going to be? It's TBD on that one. Okay. And the last Targets tokens are jails. Okay, so targets of opportunity as well. These jails are where players that have been roughed up can re-enter the game. When a character would be dazed or KO'd, it is placed within two of one of the jails. All right, next card here, sent to jail. When a character would be dazed or KO'd, it is sent to jail instead. Okay. When a character is sent to jail, it drops all of the balls it is holding. So this is similar to like an extract drop. They remove all damage in special conditions. So it's like they as if they got dazed in a normal game. And then they are placed within two of one of the jails. The opposing player resolves the place. So probably you're placing them on like the far side of the jail, is because the player that doesn't control the opposing player means, I think that means like the player that is doesn't control that model. So then you're going to be placing them like probably farther away from combat than farther away from combat and the action, so they have to waste movement and things like that to get back into the game. All right, so the opposing player resolves a place. If it did not have an activated token, it gains a stagger token instead. Okay, so if you're playing around, because this game is still like, we still have power phase, we still have all the other we have the activation phase and all that, and your character has already gone for that round, if it gets dazed, it goes to the jail, it just loses all of its damage, it keeps all of its power, and it just gets placed off, like basically off to the side. So a character that has less action economy, basically maybe you've just been repositioned to maybe probably away from the action. That's like the penalty if you've already activated that round. But if you have not activated, you gain a stagger. So I think the basically, unless you like are trying to go for priority or there's those considerations, you typically want to go after characters that have not activated yet to hit those with staggers. The question, I guess, is being teleported to the middle of the board better or worse than the stagger, right? So there's okay. So I'm understanding now that the movement to the middle of the board, it could be like that's the punishment. The punishment is being teleported to probably away from the rest of the game, right? Because if the action is towards one jail, you could daze someone and or like send them to jail, but you could send them to the jail on the complete other side of the board, away from where all the other balls are, etc. Okay, making sense. Scoop and sprint. Whenever a ball is placed onto the battlefield, if it would be placed overlapping a character, the character is now holding that ball. All right, so this is pretty big. It means you don't have to. You could daze someone or like send them to jail, and before they send to jail, they'll drop their token. If you're already in range, if like you're already in range 2, for example, then you can just get the ball. You just get the ball because it doesn't drop to the ground because it's overlapping your character. And very interesting. Very very interesting, because this means that characters that get those advanced triggers after attacks will be able to maybe they daze that character with that attack. The token has to drop before, like, once the damage is taken. They get the token immediately, and then they can take their medium advance or their short advance or whatever it ends up being after they've gotten that token, the ball token, which could create a chain reaction where all of a sudden now you're in a position where you have the ball and you're in scoring range or something. Very cool. Don't just stand there, play ball. When a character gains a ball token, if it has an activated token, it removes the activated token and gains stagger. Oh, very cool. So this definitely will mess with priority situations quite a bit. So let's see here. Oh, when a character gains a ball. So let's say you've got two characters that are beside each other on your team, and you've got one character within range 2 of both of them on the enemy team. So it's like a 2v1 kind of situation. You could go with your character. Maybe it's like their second action of their activation, and the other character, your other teammate character, is activated already. You could daze or send the other character to jail, the enemy character. But then before they go to jail, they drop the token. They drop the token on the character that was the second character that had already activated in that turn previously. All of a sudden, they're no longer activated. Now they're just staggered. Maybe they only need a move action to get towards the goal. Or, I mean, there's also pass actions, which we have to go through. Maybe that they spend one of their activations moving and their second action passing. Okay, so there you go. That's a pretty interesting thing to consider when you're playing the game. You can place the ball on an activated character, and it takes away the activation token and gives them stagger. Okay, scoring and winning the game. Touchdown. When a character scores a touchdown, their controlling player scores 2 VPs per ball they're holding. So this means that when you score a goal, you could score 3 balls simultaneously, getting you 6 VPs. Brutality. Players score 1 VP when an enemy character is sent to jail. So that's a pretty interesting thing here. It means that you're going to be basically punching each other a lot. There's a lot of motivation to hit each other because you're probably not gonna get all your VPs strictly through scoring, and I don't know. That doesn't seem like it would be a viable strategy. The crowd goes wild. The first player to score 16 VPs wins the game. So I think that overall in the game, you're gonna want characters that are that have good action economy because you're trying to, or at least some of them need to have that. And then they're going to obviously push towards the goal and be able to interact with the enemy's goal while holding the balls. But I think that if you have characters that their goal is to not attack at all or not do a lot of damage, you're just going to be losing out on the brutality VPs. So that means like fragile characters too that are kind of relatively fragile. Like maybe it's bad to bring them because they're gonna be like a VP farm. Like the obvious example here on VP farming is like grunts. If you willingly bring them back, like the ninjas, I think, or maybe they have to come back. If you keep willingly bringing your grunts back, you're putting yourself in a position where they can just be VP farmed, and they just keep dying because they're very low on defensive tech and health, and then that's free. Those are just free brutality VPs. Okay. So interesting things to think about there when you're building your team. All right, so here are the team captain abilities. Instead of choosing leadership ability after deployment, each player chooses one of the characters to become their team captain. The chosen character gains one of the following leadership abilities chosen by its controlling player. Both squads use the game day affiliation. So that's one. Before we go into the leadership, it's just saying like there is no real affiliation here. Everyone is fully affiliated, but your characters can be not related at all in the core game of Marvel Crisis Protocol. So, all right, let's get through these. Get in position. Okay, this is the first leadership. Once per turn, an allied character with at least one attack or superpower that allows them to throw terrain or characters can spend 1 power. If it does, choose an allied character within 2 and of size 2 or less that is holding a ball and throw them short. Okay, so right away, my thought goes to like who are characters that are pretty cheap or that have throws, maybe have multiple power because may want to spend that power. Like Valkyrie, like I'm immediately going to Valkyrie here, looking at a character because she has a terrain or throw terrain or character superpower, and or I mean there's lots of characters right that have attack throws like one attack. Yeah, you just need an attack like Thor, for example has an attack that throws. Now, Thor's a bad example because he also has a superpower that throws. But Miles has an attack webline kick where it allows you to hit the wild throw. So he could do this too. But so those are good examples. They can spend 1 power, choose a friendly character, enemy character, within 2, and if they have to be holding a ball though, and you throw them short. Okay. So the throwing the ball thing is obviously restricting because there's only 3 of them, and your team will maybe I think like only 2 characters will typically be holding a ball. I think it'll be unique of a situation where you've got 3 of your characters on your team holding the ball. But all right, so let's go on to the next one. Shifting tactics. When you would draw a playbook card, an allied character with 4 or more mystic defense, so like Jean Grey, Doctor Strange, and with 4 or more Crimson Dynamo. All right, they may spend 1 power. If it does, draw 2 playbook cards and discard 1 of them instead. This is like isn't this like a blue ability in Magic? You get to scry or something like that. So it's basically that type of ability. You get to be more selective with your cards. This deck of playbook cards, I think I don't know, there might be like 15 or X amount. There's a decent amount of them, and you can only hold 2 of them at a time. Or like that's the current rules work that way. So being able to like be more selective with the cards actually could be pretty cool. I think this is a good leadership. Little guys. When an allied character of size 2 or less gains a ball token, they may spend 1 power. If it does, place within one of their current position. Okay, so this has another restriction on the size of characters. You're going to be playing smaller characters if you want to play this effectively. Place within one of your current position if you gain a ball token. So I guess like the question is like how often are characters on your team going to be gaining ball positions? Typically size 2 characters are like lower threat. So it means you might have like a wider team maybe if you're playing an affiliation similar to this. It's pretty interesting. You could like pass the ball, right? You could have a bigger character, right, who has the ball and then pass it to a size 2, and then now you get to bump on top of getting the ball. You get to bump. That's pretty cool. All right. If you daze a character on the enemy team, you drop the ball. You drop it on the size 2 character. Even if they've already activated, they can pay a power and bump. So there's a little bit of movement shenanigans there. That's pretty cool. None of them seem too crazy. I like the middle one the most, but it does have limitations on what characters you would bring, right? So, all right. During the playbook cards, so here's more about the playbook cards. During the first power phase, each player draws 2 playbook cards. These cards may be played following team tactic card rules. New playbook cards are gained in the following ways. After a playbook card is played, discard it and draw a new one. So that means you start at 2, and then you play a card, you go back up to 2. When a player scores a touchdown, the opposing player may discard one of their playbook cards and draw a new one. So there you go. You can cycle through bad ones if you get scored on. During each power phase, after the first, each player may discard one playbook card and draw a new one. All right, there we go. So there's another way to cycle. So you can play cards. Some of them are free, so that's easy to cycle through. When a player scores a touchdown, so when your enemy scores on you, you can cycle, and every round you can cycle 1 card. So there's plenty of opportunity to dump cards that are not working for you. You only have 2, so it works well that you can dump them quickly. If there are no more playbook cards in your deck, shuffle the discarded playbook cards. Place them face down to form the new playbook deck. Resume drawing cards as normal. Okay, so you just like have unlimited amount of cards basically. Pass attempt. When a player attempts to pass the ball, choose another allied character within 5. Determine the shortest range between the characters making the pass attempt and the chosen character. This is the pass range. If the pass range is 2, and if the pass range is 2, if the character making the pass attempt is within 2, otherwise the pass range is 3 if the characters are within 3 and not within 2. It's 4 if they're within 4 and not within 3, and it's 5 within 5 and not within 4. So basically, I mean, like you can, it's a long way to say like you're in the range you're in. Okay, create a dice pool equal to the pass range. Add 1 die to the pool for each enemy character that is overlapped by the range tool when measuring between the allies. So basically, you have to place the range tool down like you normally would, like as if you're gonna shoot the character that is like with like your ranged attack, but it's your friendly teammate, and then and you have to determine the shortest range between the characters. So it means you're basically going from the middle of one base to the middle of the other with the tool, with the range tool, and that's you're putting it down like as if it's a beam, and then you're checking the so then you're creating the dice pool. So if it's a range 5, you're adding 5 dice to this dice pool. But then any enemy character that is being overlapped from this range tool placement, you have to add 1 die per enemy. So if you've got 2 enemies in this beam lineup, you have to roll 7 dice on a range 5 attack. If there are roll the dice, you have to roll these 7 dice, for example. If there are no skulls in the roll, move 1 ball to that character from one character that's what was originally holding to the new chosen character. The chosen character is now holding the ball. So there you go. If you roll no skulls, your pass works. If you roll 1 or more skulls, the pass is fumbled. The opposing player places the token range 5 from this character, or range X from the character, where X is the pass range. So a range 5 means that your opponent gets a range 5 place on the balls. And remember, when you drop a ball and you drop it overlapping a character, they get to pick it up. So there's a little bit of synergy there. Maybe like you get the bump too on that third leadership and all that. So there's a lot going on there. You could basically you're basically effectively giving your opponent the pass. Let's see here. You're giving I just got a message from Merzane who's helping with the tournament. All right, cool. All right. So if you miss your pass, you're effectively giving your opponent back the ball. There's gonna be limited situations where that's not true. Okay, so that's how passing works. So completion, when a character successfully completes a pass attempt, it gains power equal to the pass range. This is pretty cool too. So if you risk it for the biscuit here, you do a range 5 pass, which costs 2 power. Let me just go back to double check that. Yes, 2 power to do the pass attempt. And you get a successful 5 range pass. You get your character that did the pass gets 5 power. So imagine being in a spot where it's like you've got, Zemo is a very common character. Everyone knows what Zemo does for the most part. Let's say he's on he's on 1 or he's on 2 power. You could charge. I guess you could charge there. Man, Zemo's just like too good. Maybe that's like a bad example. Let's say you have a character that has a 3 power charge like Thor, and he has 2 power. You could do a range 3 pass attempt to another character and roll 3 dice. If you get no skulls, the pass is successful. You get 3 power on Thor, and then it lets you do a 4 Asgard charge into the enemy team, maybe taking one of their balls. So that's a cool way for you to gain power on characters. So if they're a little short, maybe getting them a ball early can set up the... that's tricky because you need 2 power to pass. So there's a little bit of power and mathematics you needed to kind of figure out optimal plays there, but having the power to pass the ball will enable you to take risks to gain more power if you want to go for that. All right, touchdowns here. When a player scores a touchdown, their controlling player scores 2 VPs per ball the character is holding. Then remove all balls from this character. The opposing player places all balls removed from this character on the line of scrimmage within 1 of another ball. Okay, after all the balls have been placed, the zone which they were scored explodes with energy. All right. All characters within 1 of the zone suffer a damage. Then all characters within 2 of the zone are pushed short. The opposing player resolves the push. The player who did not score this touchdown chooses the order in which the pushes are resolved. Okay, so I think we already knew about the interacting and the touting scoring a touchdown. You interact within range 1 of the goal. You have to roll skulls. If you have to roll dice equal to the number of defenders, if you get skulls, they get a bunch of free attacks on your character. Anyone range 3 of the zone gets free attacks on you. Okay, let's say you survive. All the balls go back onto the line of scrimmage. You score the goals. You get your 2 VPs for, let's say, 2 balls there. The line of scrimmage, my understanding is it's the middle of the board. The jail cells are also they're also deployed on the middle of the board as well, so you can kind of see where that goes. And then I might be missing a card. I don't think I am, but there might be a card that defines what the line of scrimmage is. I haven't seen it, so TBD on that one. Maybe a comment in the chat or in the comment on the YouTube video here can clarify this if they have the pack. I've just got a friend has shared these images with me from their pack, but I'm not seeing a definition of line of scrimmage anywhere. I think it's all safe to assume that it's the middle of the board. So it says all balls removed from the character are placed on the line of scrimmage within 1 of another ball. So I think there's also a clarification here needed if this was intentional or not, or like that's the question that I've seen been asked. Because what's going to happen is if you got 2 characters scoring 2 balls at the same time, then they're both of the balls are placed within 1 of each other, meaning that there's a very strong likelihood one character will just pick up all of the balls that just dropped. Now, if you said all of the balls have to be placed outside of one another, and someone had 2 balls, you still could be in a position where you drop both the balls in the line of scrimmage, and those positions are still both overlapping a character's base. So who places? The opposing player places all balls. Okay, so this means that if you score a goal, the enemy gets to place the balls. So it's actually now I think about this could be like, this is lots of swinging kind of situation, right? Because let's say you score 2 or 3 balls, your opponent now gets to place them anywhere they want on the board, and they all are going to be all grouped up. So probably a strategy is to have a character that could score, like sitting on the line of scrimmage or like being in that area, so that when you drop these balls, they all just like go right onto that character because of the rules established earlier. So that's another thing to consider. And then therefore, and so I think this game is like starts at 3 balls. And maybe this is like the design of the game though, right? You start at 3 separate balls. You can maybe score one, maybe you get two, and like on round two you score a double score. But like by the end of the game, like I think that the game is pointing you into a direction where the goals in the later part of the game matter way more than the goals in the beginning part of the game in theory. So it just gets like the ramps up the chaos of the situation. Characters are getting sent to jail, like so. I think that's the design intention behind that whole situation. All right, I mean I'm fine with it. Like, well, let's see how this goes. It's gonna be chaotic. All right. Anyway, you score the goal. Every character within one takes the damage of the zone, and then everyone within two gets pushed away. So I mean that's just like you kind of the explosion type of situation simulating in that. All right, those are all the rules I had. The deployment board is like right here as well. You've got the goals are range 3 from the board edge. The soccer balls or the footballs are in the one in the middle. I mean, these deployments are pretty familiar with a lot of people. Like if you've played the regular game of Marvel, the deployment edge is range 5, pretty which is pretty crazy. So let's see. There's some cards here. So here's the deck. We're gonna go through the deck now. Okay, we've got a bunch of these cards. I'm not sure how many are in each deck of these tactic cards, but there's multiples of each in the deck. So some of the stronger ones are they're gonna be less frequently inside your deck. All right, so arms like tree trunks. An allied character. So this is an attack. Oh, here we go. So here's the attack you can do. Add dice equal to the character's stamina, maximum 10 additional dice. Your stamina is your health pool. So if you've got like a 7 health character, you start at 2 dice, you go to a 9 dice attack, physical, range 2 attack. An allied character can spend power equal to its size to play the card during its activation. The character that played this card may make the attack shown once this activation. All right, so basically you're playing this card for free. I mean, like you can play the card for free. How do I say this? This is basically a spender where you have to spend. The spending cost of it is based on your character's size, and the damage you do is based on how much health you have. So characters that have a good health pool relative to the size of their character stat are going to get the most out of this card. So that's pretty interesting. So I guess like Zemo has the Zemo's gonna be so dumb. All right, Zemo can play this card, and he would pay 2 power because he's a size 2, and he would get 5 extra dice because he has 5 health. So he'd go a 7 dice attack, range 2, and yeah, 7 dice. So that's kind of that. So I mean, I think about Groot is a good example here. He's got 7 health on his. I don't know if he has it on both sides, but definitely on his front side. I think he is a 7/7, and you pay 3 power because that's his size, and then you get 7 dice because you have 7 health. So you go 3 power for a 9 dice attack. So there's so you can probably I'm sure there's like a best case scenario here, but let's move on. Wild Intercept. When an enemy character within 2 of an allied declares or is chosen to receive a pass, the allied character may play this card. So it's a free card. If a pass attempt is being made, you can play it. The character that played this card advances short towards the enemy character chosen to receive the pass. This is really important for adding. So you know when I said you have to do a pass attempt, let's say you're doing a range 5 pass, you have to have 5 dice. If you roll any skulls, your pass attempt fails. You have to add dice to that pool for each enemy that is under that beam that you are measuring, that like the range tool measurement. And this card lets you, before they roll dice, it lets you push those advance those characters, your characters, into their pass attempt. If they're close enough. They should be close enough because you're choosing characters to do this that are already within 2 of the one of the 2 characters chosen to pass or receive. So you're basically just repositioning your character to be between those 2 characters to disrupt the pass attempt. Of course, you have to advance towards the character chosen to receive the pass attempt. All right. Yeah. So that basically just like gets you into that pass attempt disruption. Makes them roll extra dice, which could of course mean they're like more likely to get a skull. Therefore, you get the ball. Strip ball. An allied character may spend X to play this card during its activation. Okay. How much are you spending? Choose an enemy character within 2 of the character that played this card with a threat equal to the power spent. So, all right, move 1 ball from the chosen character to the character that played this card. The character that played this card is now holding the ball. All right, perfect. You're getting a voodoo type steal here, except voodoo's drops the tokens. This one transfers the token to you like Black Cat transfers. So, I mean, there's no rules or no, I don't think there's any interaction here that makes this different. I think what this means is that you basically can't make them drop it to somebody else, right? The character that plays this card is the one who's going to get the ball, which is the unique position you'd find yourself in. Whereas if Voodoo is playing in the game with you, you could basically use Voodoo's power, drop their token, drop it onto one of your teammates, and there's that interaction there. You can give balls from your enemy to a different character, not Voodoo, because balls that drop are immediately claimed by characters they're dropped on. So this one obviously has direct transfer to the character playing the card. Jailbreak. An allied character may play this card during its activation. Choose one of the 2 jails. Each character within 2 of the chosen jail removes the stagger. Remember, you only get a stagger from jail from when you're at jail. You only get the stagger if you hadn't activated yet. One thing to note too is that if you already had a stagger and happened to be within 2 of the jail, unrelated to being dazed or KO'd and forcing your character to jail, you would still remove the stagger. All right, so I mean, I don't think that'll happen very often, but so this is only really beneficial to characters that were sent to jail before they got to activate. All right, Hustle. An allied character may spend 3 power to play this card, up to 3 power, 1, 2, or 3. For each power spent, place the character that played this card within 1 of its current position, and then roll a die. If the result is a skull, any remaining placements are lost, and the character that played the card suffers a damage. All right, so this is a really good card for large base characters. Black Dwarf is a 4-threat character. He's got a large base. MODOK, the new MODOK, is also. So they could spend 3 power and get 3 range 1 bumps, which is very significant movement because of the large base. And then, of course, they don't want to roll a skull there. So, but that's a very significant movement. So even on a small base, I think there's value here. The card costs up to 3 power. You could even pay it for 1. Maybe you just need to cycle through these cards, and you need a new card, so you could just spend 1 power on a character, and boom, you got a new card. Because after this card is played, you discard it and draw a new one from the deck. So you could like chain a bunch of cards here that are pretty easy. Like you could chain these hustles together and draw, and then end up with a strip ball or something, right? And then play the strip ball into a arms like tree trunks. Like you could just get a whole combo going if you had a lot of power. Very cool. Tackle zone. When an enemy character ends a movement within 2 of an ally, the ally character may play this card. The character that played the card makes an attack, cost 0, targeting the character that ended its movement. The character that played this card does not gain power from the attack, even if it's the attack special rules say it does. Okay, so basically, if you do a gainer attack into your enemy here, you just don't gain the power. It's just like a free throw 5 dice at them, throw 6 dice at them, something like that. Maybe 4 dice. Maybe there's an impact webbing type of situation where it's like, get out of here, kind of. You're pushing them away. Maybe that character is like defending the goal, right? You've got this tackle zone. They place their character within 1 of the zone, but it's within 2 of your character. You can then play this card. You can get the impact webbing. They can no longer, they can't interact because this was all part of the reaction on the move sequence. Things like that. So you're not paying anything for this card. You're just getting a free attack if they move within 2 of you. All right, perfect. I think that's all of the cards. Perfect. We've gone through everything here. So let's just take a look. I've got I've got a tabletop simulator deployment here. I've just chosen 10 characters, 5 for each side, just to show you an image of what the board would look like. We're setting up this event that I've mentioned before in TTS, and we are well on our way to having it set up. There's, of course, no terrain on this table, but there will be when we have the maps all built. And this is how close the characters are deploying. These are the tokens, what they look like right now. We're improving things at a pretty rapid pace, so the token coloring might change. We've got lots of things to do still, but it's moving along pretty quickly. You can see like the measurements here. This Sam is a long mover. He can be deployed off to the side, but still grab a piece. Like Beast, medium mover. He'd be able to safely grab 2 of the extracts and move backwards if that's what he wanted to do as like an opening play. You can see the movements here. Range 5 measurements off of these characters puts them in a pretty interesting position. So like Mordo might be able to get a move and a range 4 attack on somebody who is in the deployment zone. We'll definitely be able to do that if that's how aggressive you want to play. It's going to be pretty chaotic. So there's a quick little shot there. Anyway, yeah. So once we get these maps in here, they're going to have the tokens on them. You can do some measuring yourself if you are interested in to see what it looks like. The last thing I have here is the actual event itself. We have Merzane, aka Josh, and myself are running this event here, and it's going to be starting in August. It's going to last for I don't know, 3 to 4 weeks here. We're going to figure that out, TBD on that. And we've already got 14 signups so far. I'm hoping we can get more. It would be a lot of fun. Either way, this is just a Mojo Ball game. We're going to have a draft system, so this is going to force unique characters across the board for everyone. So I guess like if you're interested in playing a certain affiliation in Mojo Ball, this isn't really the affiliation for you. And you know what? Maybe will it ever be? Because you don't play affiliations in this game. You just play characters that all become part of the same affiliation. So I mean, like, if you like your synergies, your in-affiliation synergies, I think that's like a standard game type of thing. This is like where you find these weird synergies between 3, 4, 5 characters maybe that you would never be possible in Marvel unless you were running leaderless, unaffiliated type of stuff, which is props to the people that take that on. Okay. Anyway, we have some good signups so far. It's going to be a single elimination games, so that means that if you lose your game, you're out. That's it. Only the players that are in contention for first place will have games set up for them for in each subsequent round. And yeah, that's pretty exciting. Every game matters, that means. And the last thing to say about this really is that I have got a trophy that I'm going to be building, and the winner gets the trophy. There's no other prize other than bragging rights. And man, I love getting trophies and crap. So that's why I'm doing it for this one, because that trophy is gonna be pretty cool, right? Like some swag, some Marvel swag to, I don't know, put away or put somewhere. Put on your desk, put on blah blah blah. I don't know, do something with it. And yeah, so I'm going to make a trophy for this. It's going to be a lot of fun. I encourage as many people to sign up as possible. The way we're going to draft is going to not affect the amount of players that join the event. I think we're going to be doing some sort of pooling system where we group similar quantities of players together randomly. It's not going to be anything too crazy. And then they're going to draft in your pool. And we're going to have conferences, right? So one side will play only their pool until that pool has one champion, and then you've got a champion from the second pool, and they battle it out in the finals. That's the vision we have right now. And so it'll be very interesting to see which pool, like how that all breaks down. And yeah, so there's more details to come. This is obviously this just came out yesterday, so this is a brand new thing we're figuring out. And I really hope to see you sign up. Anyone who's watching this, to consider signing up to this event. It's on TTS, so if you watch TTS, which if you're subscribed to my channel, I would imagine you're familiar with how that works and how to get involved in TTS for Marvel Crisis Protocol. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comments if you have any sort of ideas or feedback, or what you thought about, what you think about Mojo Ball in general, and if you think any characters are in particular broken or absolutely atrocious in the format. because we're looking at doing a minor cull on the available characters for the pool selection. That way, uh, yeah, that way nobody is in a situation where their drafting options are crap for either them or the other players involved in the pool itself because they got like a god pull or something crazy. And we're gonna make things as chaotic and fun as possible. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm signing off on this one. I'll see you guys in the next video.